This is a moment in Jewish history. Israeli tanks are considered among the best in the world. When the War of Independence started in 1948, Israel had a small number of Sherman tanks from the United States and 2 British Cromwell tanks. The British trained and equipped the Jordanian Legion with tanks. British Lieutenant General John Glubb, whom the Jordanian soldiers called Glubb Pasha, led them into battle. Some of the fiercest fighting in 1948 was in Latrun. Today, the Yad HaShiryon Armored Corps Memorial Site and Museum at Latrun features many of those tanks and other examples from Israel and around the world. One of the earliest Israeli tank commanders was Jackie Evan. He went to France to learn about the AMX-13 tank, which was then used by the Israeli army. In 1948, the Gaza Strip had become part of Egypt, and since then the Gaza area had become home for armed militants. They committed such atrocities as the Ma'ale Akrabim massacre in 1954 and the shooting attack on a synagogue in 1956. In the Sinai War of 1956, in order to stop the infiltrations and killings, the IDF Armored Division led by Jackie Evan took control of all of Gaza from north to south, destroying along the way 8 fortified Egyptian outposts. Evan was wounded twice in the war. In 1965, he led a delegation to Germany to obtain tanks. This resulted in the Israeli Magach tanks, which were used throughout the 1960s and successfully in the Six-Day War of 1967. The Magach served the IDF all the way until 2006. In 2015, it was revealed that the Magach tanks had a secret called the Pereh missile carrier. This was a guided missile carrier disguised as a tank that could destroy targets up to 25 kilometers. In the 1960s, Israel cooperated with the United Kingdom to further develop the Centurion tank. In return, the British were supposed to allow the sale of the tank to Israel, but later canceled the deal as a result of heavy pressure from Arab nations. After the canceled British tank deal, Israel began planning its own homemade tank, called the Merkava. Its name comes from the Bible, meaning chariot. The main person who developed the tank was Israel Tal. He grew up in Sfat and was a survivor of the 1929 massacre, which took place there and in other cities. He joined the Haganah and later the British Army before Israel's independence. Israel Tal was a veteran of the Six-Day War, and his armored division broke through the northern Sinai to decimate Egypt's tanks from more than a kilometer away. Aided by air cover, Tal's division destroyed almost 800 tanks and armored vehicles and captured 100 abandoned tanks. In the 1970s, Tal began to develop the Merkava. According to one book, a German engineer initially helped Israel with the Merkava. His name was Johannes Gassen, and the development of the tank was delayed after he was murdered in a terrorist attack in 1975. The Savoy Hotel in Tel Aviv was taken over by terrorists who took hostages and later detonated explosives. 11 people were killed, including 7 foreign citizens staying at the hotel, Gassen being one of them. The first Merkava tank was introduced in 1979 and deployed into action in 1982 during the First Lebanon War. It successfully defended the northern border and has been a part of the Israeli army ever since. The Merkava held the record of not being affected by a hit for more than 2 decades. It has gone through many changes and improvements since then. In 2018, the Merkava was named one of the 5 deadliest tanks in the world by National Interest magazine, alongside the Russian T-40 and the American M1 Abrams. In 2023, the latest version of the Merkava was introduced, called the Barak, meaning lightning in Hebrew. This version has an upgraded trophy military armored vehicle active protection system designed in Israel, artificial intelligence, helmet-mounted augmented reality systems, and high-resolution cameras. Tanks continue to defend Israel and protect the Jewish state. This has been a moment in Jewish history. My name is Ben Bresky. For past shows and to subscribe, you can visit benbresky.substack.com. Thank you to all the listeners, and Shalom.